Voices against corruption. Let the people speak.
Hello and welcome to Primark's public feedback series on corruption, called Voices Against Corruption. And we ask, do you think corruption is responsible for the poor educational system in Nigeria?
As a teacher, we see them happening every day. Poor education is the cause of corruption. Right from nursery section, you see parents settling teachers to make sure that their children passes well. Children don't repeat like in those days when if you didn't do well, you repeat.
Corruption is the major cause of the poor educational system we have in this country. Our leaders, they use our education to settle political scores. Our universities, they are not funding them well. If you look at our budget, you see that the money I mark for education is very, very small.
The educational system wouldn't have been so bad if there wasn't corruption. The schools ought to have been developed more than the way they are. The system itself is the problem. The system the Nigerian government operates is bad. Because when system is porous, there's bound to be corruption. But if systems are put in place in such a way that things are checkmated, then the corruption will be minimized.
Corruption is responsible for the poor facilities in my school because, for example, we don't have a basketball court. Even our our science lab is not even functioning. Our class, the roof is leaking and there's not even chairs again. And then, let us say we are very populated in the class because of there's no chairs and the building itself. In fact, our school environment is not conducive.
Corruption plays a major role in the sense that if particular fund is being allocated for education and then those people that are at the helms of affair, they squander the money, of course you cannot see the result.
Corruption has not actually allowed our educational system to flourish in this country. Now let's start from the beginning. When we go to school, they are telling us write textbooks, read notes, write notes, and yet no practical is done. So education is completely bastardized in this country.
Corruption is responsible for poor educational system in Nigeria. Poor management of funds, and most people who are in charge of making sure the educational system is what it's supposed to be probably don't know what to do because them themselves are not well educated. So most times whenever they are in a position to make the right decisions, they end up making totally wrong decisions. When
it comes to the school environment now, it's not conducive for the students to learn. Like in the library now, the perfected books that we're supposed to have for learning is not what we have there. And in the lab, we don't have real practical materials for learning.
Corruption is responsible. Our leaders, they don't take that sector serious. And you know what has been happening over the time. So corruption, not only that it affects the edu sector, it affects every other sector. In Nigeria today, we are suffering from that problem called corruption, and it has eaten so deep to the point that the edu sector is suffering now.
Poor education system. If you go to, for example, now corruption is part of it. If every education is good in this country, we're not going to be and say, okay, people want to travel out of this country, you study here in this country. That's number one. Number two, go to all these our schools. You see that their ceiling is bad, ceiling is faulty. Sorry, the blackboard is faulty. The floor, students sit on the floor. The decks, there's no window. Teachers for them to come to teach the student, to take them like almost maybe throughout like 2-3 hours before teachers will come. This is all part of the corruption system we are talking of.
Corruption is responsible for all these infacilities in our school. Like in my class, the ceiling is leaking, it's not even good, no fan, 4 people in a seat. But what is going on now in this country? Corruption is responsible for all these things, and corruption is everywhere. We need God to help us in this Nigeria.
The corruption that has eaten deep inside the structure can't allow a student to learn. You see, when a lecturer that is corrupt will tell a student, pay so amount of money and I will give you a mark. Or you meet me in the hotel, then I'll give you a mark. In such a situation, how do you think students can be able to learn? They can't learn because they have options.
Primark's public feedback on corruption in Nigeria is produced with support from MacArthur Foundation.